United States versus Virginia, the Supreme Court struck down VMI's male-only admission policy. Writing for the majority, Justice Ginsburg stated, supposed inherent differences are no longer accepted as a ground for race or national origin classifications. Physical differences between men and women, however, are enduring. The two sexes are not fungible. A community made up exclusively of one sex is different from a community composed of both. Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
Senator, respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case,
Okay.
so it's hard for me to comment as to whether
All
or
right.
not.
I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that.
This is Ketanji Brown. Okay, the only reason that she is a Supreme Court justice is because Democrats had a majority. The only reason she's there. She is the black pill. The Democrats like black pill to the proverbial wrench in the works, you know, the fly in the ointment. Like, she is that. It's the only reason she's there. It gets worse.
Do you interpret Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole thing.
Okay. Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education.
There you go. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Okay? And she just wants her base to know I'm standing strong. Can you give me a definition of the word woman? No, I can't, because I'm not a biologist. But can you give me the definition? Can you give me the definition of a dog versus a cat? Well, no, of course not. I'm not a veterinarian. From Fox News, Sotomayor breaks with Jackson in Supreme Court decision over Trump cuts to federal workforce. What do you think that's about? Sotomayor. Sonia Sotomayor. Okay. She figured Ketanji Brown was like, she missed the plot. Again, that's like Ilhan Omar calling out Rashida Tlaib. Hey, Rashida, calm down. You're going too far. I gotta tell you, man, she is impeachable. If ever a justice was going to be impeached, it should be Ketanji. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent in the Supreme Court order handed down on Tuesday stood out enough that it prompted one of her liberal colleagues, to voice disagreement with her. You know how this is, hold on a second. You understand, okay? They are colleagues. They work together. They are on the same court. ostensibly they, are on the same kind of footing. Probably, and this is like probably spot on, they run in the same circles. They breathe the same air. They're the same atmosphere. They're in the same, general vicinity. Sotomayor wrote something. Okay. She could have pulled her aside during one of her little, soirees or little dinner party and said, hey, your dissent was kind of. When a justice takes it upon themselves to correct you, written, because this is now in the annals of judicial. Like this will be here now forever, that you were reprimanded by one of the most liberal judges in the justice sphere. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, an appointee from former President Barack Hussein Obama, said in a brief concurrent with the High Court's 8-1 order clearing a way for President Donald Trump to continue downsizing the government was the right decision. Quote, I agree with Justice Jackson that the president cannot restructure federal agencies in a manner inconsistent with congressional mandates. Here, however, that's a good way to say, but now, what we're talking about today, here, however, the relevant executive order directs agencies to plan reorganizations and reductions in force consistent with applicable law. And the resulting joint memorandum for the Office of Management and Budget and Office of Personnel Management reiterates as much. He's just saying, hey, consistent with the law, we need to start looking at, downsizing. That's all Donald Trump did. Hey, it's time to downsize because I'm streamlining everything. We're top heavy, man. We gotta slim down. We're too fat. I'm putting this government on a diet. So says Donald Trump. Ketanji Brown says, no, we should be fat, sloppy, and wasteful. And I believe I know why she's doing this. It's not just to, for her comrades. No, it's not. Sotomayor's remarks were included. See, that's what I'm talking about. Her remarks were included. That means that Sotomayor took the time to read Ketanji Brown's dissent and said, no. What are you talking about? As a part of a short 2-page order from the Supreme Court saying the executive order Trump signed in February directing federal agencies to plan for, quote, large-scale reductions in force consistent with applicable law was likely lawful. The Supreme Court said it had no opinion at this stage on the legality of any actual job cuts and that the question was not. The question was not. If you don't get any of this, then this is the part that you should get. That question, job cuts, that's not before the high court. We're not even talking about that. We're just talking about whether or not he can do, reductions. He can ask the court to start, given us, with all applicable law, can we, downsize? Ketanji Brown said no. Any future government downsizing would come on top of thousands of government employees already losing their jobs or opting to accept buyout plans as part of Trump's stated goals to downsize, to scale down the federal government and make it run more efficiently. I think the only reason that she was willing to make a fool out of herself is because she doesn't want black women to be fired. Okay? It is a fact that black women disproportionately are represented in the federal workforce. It is overwhelming. And so it's so overwhelming that they were the one kind of standout demographic when it came to unemployment stats. Every other demographic was kind of steady except black women. Why? Downsizing the government. That's the only reason. And I believe Ketanji Brown Jackson wants to make sure that all those black women can keep their jobs, whether they're needed or not, whether they're redundant or not, doesn't matter. That's what's happening. I believe that's what's happening.